He is miracle food. It's the best for detoxing, cleansing, healing, removing inflammation, and boosting your immune system. It's suitable for all ages, and it helped me out tremendously during pregnancy. Allergen-free, gluten-free, 100% organic, all natural, and vegan. Talkfordoctor.org, 818-429-1675.
Why haven't y'all tried miracle food yet? Like, for real, all jokes aside.
So my perspective is a little bit different. You got to really just say to yourself, like, if you're going to commit to doing this, you got to move a certain way. You got to move the right way, too. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, like, I really just be in the music. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that know me know, like, Rob might be under a rock somewhere creating in the studio. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't got to be outside, I'm just creating or collaborating or being just, just doing something different. But it's a tough time right now, man. And then social media is dangerous too. So you got to be careful of that. I just think that, especially at this time, and we people of color, men of color. So you got to also understand that it's not even just the streets. It's politics. It's everybody looking at you differently and things like that. So you got to understand how you move and make sure you're doing it the right way.
In 2020, we heard Charlamagne say it a lot of people, especially within the hip hop Black community, talk about mental health and how we really deal with mental health between the trauma that we deal with at home. People may have dealt with in the inner cities. No matter what trauma we dealt with as Black people, we don't really identify and talk about it. And it's really been prominent in 2020. You in particular, dealing with what you've had to deal with, I'm sure a lot of mental health things had to come into play. Talk about that. Like, how did mental health play a role in your life? Did you realize at an early age, maybe I had some things and some I had to deal with? And how did that play a role in your life?
Man, it's deep. And Charlamagne is definitely right. I think for myself, I didn't really realize that, I had some things I had to heal from until I got older. You feel me? Because for me, I always had these different outlets. One, it was football, and football took me to college and let me travel and, just kind of do my thing there. And then when that stopped, it was music. And then you have your own things going on with that as well. But for me, it was just kind of just really seeing, going to get help at times in the sense of just kind of expressing myself, not necessarily going to sit with a therapist and my life is crazy, nothing like that, but just more so saying like, it's okay to say, yo, I'm not cool right now, or, I'm thinking a lot right now, or I'm never really healed from this and that. And, I got my own trauma, not even just with my father, but, like I said, I grew up in the inner city of LA. So seeing, friends of mine die before we're 18 and, going to college and playing in a football game, and you find out your high school teammates is getting murdered and things like that. And I looked at a photo of me in high school with all of my teammates, and 5 of them don't even exist no more. Meaning they're not here on this earth no more. So things like that, it can deal with you a lot. And I think a lot of people, if they don't understand how to cope and deal with those things, that's when you do turn into the drugs, or you do turn into the the alcohol, or just trying to cope and heal in a negative light. So I think it's very important to be able to find somebody you could really speak with, or just dedicate yourself in trying to live better, I would say.
Most definitely. How do you think growing up without a father affected you in your life?
Yeah, growing up without my dad, it was tough. Like I said before, just because it was like, it wasn't something that I could just say, okay, my dad's not here, I'm gonna just block that out and go with life, because it was always here. It was like, boy, you look just like your daddy. And then it just turned into all these stories when people would find out about who I was. That's kind of really why I didn't tell them like that. But I was blessed to have, like good male figures in my life. My grandfathers, my uncles. I had an older brother who, we're 11 years apart, but he kind of showed me the ropes a little bit early and played a lot of that father role for me too, even though he was trying to figure it out himself. And just having football coaches and basketball coaches in the community that was, understood my situation and just was always, supportive.
That's what's up.
Your dad was beloved within the comedy world and all the world throughout, definitely during his time. Did you ever have anybody that reached out to you, any of his peers, I know, remember you talking about Ricky Harris and rest in peace to Ricky Harris.
Yeah, rest in peace, Rick.
Absolutely. Somebody that was influential in your life. Is anybody else that you can kind of remember that was like, all right, yeah, they stuck by my side. They was real ones. They knew my family. They kind of stuck and carried that on.
Yeah, man. Ricky was definitely one. Rest in peace to him. You know, he was first person to kind of scoop me up and teach me a little bit about the entertainment industry as well as in the music, world as well too. So he kind of showed me the ropes with that and kind of taught me to really believe in myself and really tap into my creativity. But I remember seeing Rick as a kid, coming to football games and coming to my brother's football games and stuff like that. Joe Torre, Guy Torre, they was always around. Lunell, she always call my mom or call me. Still today, she'll call me, be like, nephew, you good? Like all the, Virginia Watson was an actress, Sam Watson out of LA. It was a ton of people that did check on my family and myself, and always just make sure we were good and things like that. So yeah.
Now, one of the most famous things your father did was Beyblades Kids, and we probably watched that shit once, twice a day.
Yeah.
Years in our house, like every single day. I lie to you not, man. That was probably one of the greatest cartoons ever. Talk about that, like growing up and just seeing the impact of that. I heard you saying you may want to do a remake of that. Just talk about the impact of Beyblades Kids and give us some backstory if you got it.
Yeah, man, Beyblades Kids is deep. Growing up, I mean, I knew, that was my pops, his thing, but I just liked the cartoon as a kid. We kids, it's cartoons, and it kind of seemed like what I was living, what I'm saying, with my family and my, family friends. We were all little kids growing up watching the movie all the time, whenever we were at our auntie's house or whatever, or uncle's house, like we were watching that movie. We kind of connected with those characters a lot. So, it was dope. And now that I'm older and, I'm doing my thing and I'm meeting so many different people, or, they might tweet me out of the blue or find out that, I'm Robin Harris's son and like, man, I love Beyblades Kids and this and that. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know it was that impactful. I didn't know it impacted people worldwide, not even just in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to a predominantly white college to play football, and it was people there that know about Beyblades Kids. So I was just kind of like, wow, this is deep. Like, and they know about my father's comedy as well. So it was dope because I always thought that was cool about my dad was that his art connected with people from, obviously our communities, but it connected with people from many different walks of life.
As an adult, you realize how game changing something like a Beyblades Kids was. I forgot when it was. We were kids, but you look at an all black cartoon.
Exactly.
Walking like we talk. It wasn't no Fat Albert. Shout out to Fat Albert. That was a phenomenal show as well. But that shit wasn't no Fat Albert. This was real ball. And it was like, wow, what are we watching? Did looking back at it now, and the genius of your dad, man, and it's unfortunate that he passed away as early as he did. But does that make you just proud just to even understand the level that he was going to and how ahead of his time he really even was?
Oh, definitely. It always paid attention to that as a kid, just in my own light of watching his stand-up. I watched my pop stand-up a lot or listen to his comedy a lot. I studied it. I study it, for my own thing with music, but I pay attention to his like comedic genius and his storytelling, and I'm like, man, this dude was he was ahead of his time, and even hearing all the stories, the stories I would hear from Faison or Chris Tucker or Lunell or anybody, and they talk about, his run in LA in the comedy circuit and going to do so many different shows in a night and coming back to Leimert Park and, ripping it on stage and people to come see other comedians, and my dad is the host and they don't want him to get off the stage. It's like he was ushering a whole different wave in the comedy world. He was really innovative with it. Like, I think at that time, I would hear that his comedy style wasn't typical, but it was normal for our community. So how I looked at it was like, what's hot in the streets music may not hit the radio yet. So I kind of looked at it the same way as my pops. He was hot in the streets with his comedy and stuff like that. Everybody knew him, but it took a minute for Hollywood to understand it,
Definitely. Now, the first time when you were a kid and you seen your dad on like a video or heard him, did you get emotional? Because most of us don't get, we don't have a parent, we're not able to see, we only got pictures, but you got like movies, videos. What was your experience like when you first, seen your dad, on video or heard him doing comedy?
At first, it didn't really faze me like that too much. I think it was because I really didn't try to process it too well. I just tried to kind of accept it and keep it moving. But it comes a time in your life where it's like, no, you gotta face that, and be all right and heal from it. And from there, it did bother me in a sense. And rest in peace to Ricky Harris, because he was somebody that when I was working with him and he was showing me things, he kind of taught me a lot about my dad that I didn't know. Just outside of the stories I would hear and stuff like that. And that was a time where I really needed to hear a lot about him, because I was just growing up and, I'm becoming a man. So I'm like, my mom, I need my pops, you feel me? So once I really start facing it on, it was hurtful at first, but, like I said, I try to move with, positivity and just have a better outlook on it, because it's like I can't control what happened. I can only move forward and try to make the best of it. And I feel like, hey, it's my purpose to keep doing what I'm doing. I just got to carry the torch. So